All right, everyone, welcome to Shadows of Seattle. We're finishing up character creation day. We've got approximately 2 hours. I'm going to go ahead and switch us over to everybody and turn on everybody's voices. This time with pictures. Actually, before I... Hold on one second. All right, we're ready to move over to our other scene. That's less important. What is your character's name? We've got Alexi Parkins, Jane without a last name, Kelly Okolth, and Rook Delaney, aka Fox Runner. Okay, cool. What was that? You're super quiet, Seth. Oh, it is... Yeah, it's twitch.tv/KelsaDelphi, KelsaDelphi. If you're watching this, then you probably already knew that. But, I should also put it on Facebook since I did not do that. Good idea. I did put it on Twitter. Though. So I'm starting to understand how these things work. It should have changed to the full image. It should be showing just Shadows of Seattle at the top and then most of our faces in the Roll20 view. That's how it's supposed to be. Oh my, blue screen of death. That's not gonna work. Alright, technical difficulties since we have one of our players who had a computer die. She'll be back shortly. Okay. So while we're waiting for her to come back, let's just take quick looks at everybody else's character. Mike, were you good enough to have actually already assigned your skills? Because I feel like you did. Okay, cool. So as a chest deep, you've got 30 skill points to go around. And so... So your mediocre skills are literally everything else. Everything you did not assign higher than average or higher is mediocre. So anytime you have to roll something that is mediocre, it's just everything else. So you should have... so 30 points you could take like 2 superb skills, 2 great skills, 2 good skills, 2 fair skills, and 2 average skills. Looks like you have 3 in each. That's too many. That's too many points. Oh, you have 3 for great, 3 for good, and 3 for fair. Okay, yeah. Okay, I get it. 3 good, 3 great, 3 good, 3 fair, 3 average. So you've got 12 skills total. And none of them are superb. But that's fine. The thing to remember is while you're assigning your points is you have to have at least as many or more of the lower level skill of like, so whatever your the least good skill, which is average, you have to have at least as many average skills as whatever you want to take above that. So if you wind up with, if you want to have like 5 average skills, that's fine. But then you can't take 6 fair skills. So, I mean, you could probably break it down where you just took like 8 average skills and so on and so on. Okay. So if you look at page 65 of the book, it gives you certain ways that you can break that down. So you have 30 points, and if you want to have a skill at superb, then it's going to be 5 points. If you want to have a skill at great, it's 4 points. At good, it's 3 points. Fair is 2 points, and average is 1 point. Anything you do not take as part of the skill will be considered mediocre if you have to roll it. So it gives you like a quick breakdown of some certain ways that you could do it, like 5 good, 5 fair, 5 average, or 2 superb, 2 great, 2 good, 2 fair, 2 average. But as long as you have at least as many or more of the number of skills below the one you're using, then you have, then you're fine. So, for example, I'm going to tell you guys all what's on Mike's character sheet. Kelly Olkulth. Am I saying his last name right? Okay. Well, it's your name, or it's his name, so you know how it should be pronounced in theory. What? Why would there be anything Cthulhu related in your character? I don't understand. That's a little strange. I mean, totally expected. Olkoff? Okay. Cool. Yeah. So you'll notice that on your character sheet, it's broken down into, it says mediocre, and there's no plus sign by mediocre, because any skill that you do not raise up is considered mediocre. Then you have average. So imagine like you're stacking up blocks. So average is your bottom, your base. You have to have at least as many blocks of average before you can add fair, or it's going to fall down. So if you if you want to be able to have 2 superb skills, the only way it works out mathematically is to have 2 superb, 2 great, 2 good, 2 fair, 2 average. But if you only want to have 1 superb skill, then you can get a little bit more creative. You can have 1 superb skill, 1 great skill, 1 good skill, and then 1 fair skill, and then like 20 average skills. It's a pyramid, yeah. So you don't need to worry about a template For you, your template would have been probably changeling. But not necessarily. But not exactly. So your character does not fall underneath one of the templates, and that's okay. It doesn't have to. So Kelly Okolth has has 0 superb skills. There are no skills that he gets a +5 on. He does have he has 3 great skills which he gets +4s on, which are stealth, impersonation, and athletics. That all makes sense for a shapeshifter. There are 3 skills that he is good at, and that is lore, survival, and weapons. And there are 3 skills that he is fair at: investigation, deceit, and burglary. And then finally 3 skills that he is average at, which is fist, discipline, and rapport. So I think that's a pretty good breakdown of skills. Yeah, pick whatever works for your character. The skills are all listed in the book, obviously. And like I said, you can have your character. This is a really good way to make your character very distinct from Mike's, Monique. Since you're both shapeshifters, having a distinct blend of skills, either going specialized and getting 1 or 2 superb skills that you are just the best at, or making your base wider and having more skills that you are average or fair at, and then less things that you're good or great at, to kind of denote that your character is younger and maybe not as has a lot of jack of all trade skills versus being really, really good at 1 or 2 things or 3 things. Right. And I mean, it's up to you which way you want to go with that, because like I said, you could build it so that you've got, let's see, superb is 5, great is 4, that's 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. So you could spend 14 of your points to bring 1 fair, 1 good, 1 great, 1 superb, and then use the other 16 points to just have 16 skills at average. Are there even 16 skills? I think so. As a way to be just really dabbling in a lot of things. No, it's fine. I realized, I was like, wait a minute, we totally forgot a very important part of character building. I blame Mike for being way too on top of it and super excited, having done everything already. We don't need you to apologize, it's fine. All right. 30. Mm-hmm. And so each one of the average, fair, good, great, superb, they give you a bonus, and it notes that on your character sheet. Whatever bonus it's giving you, that's how many skill points it takes to buy 1 rank of that. You mm-hmm. Stunts are something that you still might take, and we'll go into that. I'm sure that Rook has a number of mortal stunts if you haven't looked at them already, Seth. That's fine. That's good. So do you have any thoughts for how you want to lay out your skills? Anybody? Okay. So is your max is Rook's max skill going to be guns or firearms, weapons? Of course. Thank you. Thank you, and yes, David, for joining us and also telling me that I still had you all muted and I'm a really terrible person.
Yes, this whole time.
It was super bad. Okay.
Oh no.
Please tell me, can you hear the rest of everybody now? Everybody say something to prove that
Hi.
I am not a robot.
Thank you for not
Nor am
trolling and
I.
just like moving your mouths, because that
That didn't occur to me, but it will next time.
super professional all the time. That's my
Yeah.
excuse
What?
me. Excuse me, Winter. I'm already having enough audio-visual trouble. I do not need you playing with my chords. Thank you.
Let's see. So, 1, 2, 3, 4.
Missing a sync.
Yay, everybody hears everybody. And Audrey!
So wait, so the powers are different than the
Powers and skills are different, yes. So
skills.
skills are under, starting at page...
Page 120, I think.
Yes, 120 exactly. A 120 has a listing of all of the skills, and then it details them out on the next page. So you can see
Okay.
there's 25 skills that you can choose from, and then you can...
Oh,
Glad you guys are joining
Great.
us.
That makes it a lot easier.
Audrey,
Okay.
David, you guys are great. All right. So yeah, let's look at some skills. So, while you guys are thinking about your characters, I'll just talk about skills.
Okay.
We've got alertness that you use to avoid surprise. It determines your combat initiative and also your passive awareness. So if you're walking into a situation, having a high alertness is going to basically have me tell you to roll alertness to see if you notice something, because if you don't have it at a certain level, maybe you just couldn't have noticed it. Athletics is your basic climbing, dodging, falling, jumping, sprinting, any kind of physical action that's not otherwise detailed. Burglary is like casing a joint, infiltrating a place, lock picking, all of that is encompassed under burglary. Contacts are how well connected are you, who do you know, and who do they know. And it allows you to gather information and getting a tip off. It allows you to know people, but also it can be used offensively to start rumors. So you can start a rumor about someone either to try to draw them out, or whatever reason you might have to start a rumor about somebody. That contacts is going to be the skill that you would roll to find out how well that rumor spreads. And conviction is one of the special stats. It affects your stress track. Your stress track is how you calculate... it's not exactly hit points, but like how you can keep on fighting or keep on pursuing certain goals. And when your stress track fills up, then you start to take consequences, and that's when you actually get hurt. So taking stress is like how much you can bear before it's actually an injury. And having a high conviction, for example, is going to give Alexi more stress boxes, which means it's harder for her to be stressed out on a mental level. There's 3 different tracks for stress: mental, physical, and social, which is fascinating. But it gives her more mental fortitude, and also at a high enough level, which she's got, it gives... I just told you to stop messing with these. I'm going to kick you off my table if you cannot do that. Sorry. It gives her more consequences, because once all of your consequences are taken, that is when you die. So you slowly build up consequences that go away. Like a minor consequence goes away, it's like a sprained ankle. It'll go away very quickly. A medium consequence is something that is going to take... Well, I guess more like a mild consequence is like a pulled muscle or like a stitch in your side. And you'll be able to work past it, and it'll go away within a day or a scene. A medium consequence is something that is going to take longer, like maybe a couple of weeks. Whereas a severe consequence is something like a broken arm. It's going to take months and also outside intervention to get better. And then an extreme consequence will never get better. And that means that thank you. Thanks, David. Sorry, you can have that conversation. I'll just keep doing what I'm saying.
I am listening.
No, I know you are. I'm trying to do both, and I'm failing. It's not you. It's me. Yeah. Basically, an extreme consequence is something that permanently changes your character, and not only will you have some kind of physical, mental, or social scar, you will change one of your aspects. You get this one time per character before you're killed. You get to change one of your aspects permanently to reflect that consequence, and then that aspect is forever locked. So if you wind up having your hand chopped off, then you would take an aspect that would reflect having only one hand. Or if you shoot the Lady of Summer in the face multiple times and she survives, you're going to have an aspect of, hunted by the Fae forever because they know what you did. And that's a social consequence, because that's, it's not mental fatigue, it's not a physical scar, but that is definitely a consequence that you cannot get rid of ever. But that's a social consequence, but also just as damaging. So,
and 2 of those could still kill you?
So you basically, instead of dying, you take a consequence.
Okay.
So basically, if you're at a certain point where you'd have to take more damage, instead you take a consequence.
Got it.
And depending on how much damage you would have to take determines what kind of consequence you would take. And once per character, before your character dies, you can take an extreme consequence in order to negate any amount of damage. But it permanently scars your character.
Okay.
So having your character die is super, I wouldn't say unlikely, but you have to try. You gotta work for it. Yeah. Anyway, Conviction also, going back to talking about skills, Conviction also gives you Acts of Faith, which is kind of like, it's what you would roll on when you're doing, like, divine magic, basically, to borrow a D&D term. Then we have Craftsmanship, which is not just building and fixing things, but also breaking it. because if you know how to build something, you know how to break it. Sometimes it means you're more familiar with a weak spot and stuff like that. Deceit is pretty obvious. Distractions, misdirection, disguise, falsehood, and deception, cat and mouse, but also false face forward, which gets into doing social combat, basically. When you're in a conversation with someone and you're like trying to extract information or something similar, then you're in sort of a social combat with them, and there are very interesting rules for how to proceed with that. And false face forward is one of the ways that you can lie to someone and get them to think that they have an upper hand on you, or so forth. Discipline is another one that gives you a stronger stress track. It provides a mental defense. As well as giving you concentration and emotional control as sub things. That's what you'd use discipline for. So if you see something particularly horrific, then you may be asked to roll discipline in order to not throw up or not freak out. If the person that you're in love with does something, cheats on you or betrays your trust, you'd have to roll, a discipline to not have an emotional outburst show on your face or whatever. Of course, if you want to have that emotional outburst show, then go for it. That'll be great. But if you want to be like, all right, he just betrayed me and broke my heart, I want to put forth a plastic face and pretend I never cared. And that would be a discipline check. Driving is pretty self-explanatory. You don't need to have the driving skill to be able to drive a car. You do need to use the driving skill, though, if you want to be able to drive the car under pressure, like a car chase. Driving with one hand and shooting with the other.
That's me.
Having street knowledge and navigation is under driving. So, for example, if you normally drive around a city, you're going to have a certain familiarity with that city. And that's just from being out there on the street every day. It also, if you have driving at good or above, then your ability to operate other vehicles besides a car are going to be increased. If canonically you're like, I ride a motorcycle, and it's like, okay, that's fine. As long as it makes sense for your character to do so, then it's not going to cause you to have to roll. But if it's like, oh, there's a tank. Oh, yeah, I totally know how to ride a tank. Really, I don't remember any part of your backstory where you were in the military or part of the Blue Angels or something. Like, how do you know how to drive a tank? Okay, you don't. So you're going to roll drive to see if you can figure it out. Empathy is being able to read people. It's also a type of social defense. If someone is making a social attack on you, you can defend with your empathy in order to kind of soften the blow. It also, your empathy is going to be what gives you initiative in a social combat. Endurance is a long-term action. So maybe you're good at running. If you're going to sprint, you're going to roll athletics. You're going to run a marathon, you're going to roll endurance. If you're going to put together a clock, you're going to roll craftsmanship. If you're going to put together 300 clocks without sleeping, you're going to roll endurance. And then also it will add to your physical stress track. So if you have a high endurance, then you can take more physical stress before you start to face consequences. Fists is a specific type of fighting. It's where you fight with your fists. Any kind of action that you do not use a weapon for. So this is going to include, like, any type of brawling or close combat. Guns. Guns are specifically firearms. But also, if you know guns, you can use other projectile weapons. And if it makes sense for your character to be like, I'm the Green Arrow, I shoot arrows all day, but I don't really know guns that great, then you can still, we can say guns, but it's really arrows. Intimidation, that allows you to give people the brush off. It allows you to interrogate people. It also allows you to provoke people. That can be a very interesting tactic where you're trying to start a fight, but you don't want to be the one to throw the first punch. You can use the provoke trapping of intimidate to get the NPC or one of the other players to be the one that throws that first punch. And also threats, of course. Investigation is eavesdropping, surveillance, and close examination of something. Lore is where you're going to do all of your research rolls. It's where magical knowledge comes in, and also mystical perception, if you have some kind of supernatural ability to see other supernatural creatures, if you have any kind of, like, magical sixth sense, that's going to fall under lore. Might is your ability to break things, exert force, lift, and wrestle. And wrestling is different than brawling, because in wrestling you're using your strength and your positioning, whereas in brawling you're just kicking, biting, throwing punches. And might also is different than athletics, because if you're like lifting weights, that's going to be might. But if you're running, that's going to be athletics. Performance. That's pretty straightforward, like art, composition, but also art appreciation. So it would also lend you to being able to, like, spot a forgery, if you're very familiar with the art. Also playing to an audience or creative forms of communication. Then we have presence, which is your charisma, your ability to command, your reputation, and also your social fortitude. So if you want to have more social stress boxes and be less likely to be socially damaged, that's where presence comes in. Rapport is chit-chat, having good first impressions, being able to get people to open up or close down a line of questioning in a, polite manner, and is also a type of social defense. Resources are how you buy things. So in this game, you don't have money per se. You have resources at a certain level. If you're mediocre at resources, then maybe you're living paycheck to paycheck. Or maybe you have everything you need and you're not looking to buy more. But if you want to say, I have a sports car, and we haven't talked about your character's vehicle or anything, I'm like, that's a pretty expensive piece of equipment. Roll resources to already have it. It's a way that you can make a statement about your character and about the fiction, and just have it have always been that way. On a failed roll, interesting things could happen, like maybe you had a sports car, but it got stolen, or so forth. It also would be like if you want to have like a workshop or maintain a certain lifestyle, obviously. Scholarships, not scholarships, scholarship, different. That is like your generalized computer use, declaring minor details about something, exposition and knowledge dumping. It's a way to expand the lore. Say, well, I've done a lot of research about Selkies. So you can then tell us things that are true about Selkies. And even if it's not something that is necessarily true in real life, it will be canonically true in the setting of the game once it's been declared. But it also lets you ask questions and say, well, what do I know about Selkies? Or something. Also, medical attention and research are all under scholarship. It's a pretty good skill that has a lot of uses. Stealth allows you to set ambushes, allows you to hide. It allows you to shadow someone without their knowledge or skulk. Survival is going to cover animal handling, camouflage, horseback riding, or other creature riding, scavenging, and tracking. And then finally, weapons. That's going to cover like melee combat, melee defense, knowledge about weapons, and distance weaponry that's not like a firearm or bow and arrow. So, also a pretty broad category, but as you play, you'll have an idea of what your character can do with it. So, looks like some skills have been set up here. Let's see. 9. So if I'm counting correctly, Shannon, it looks like you've got one more skill for Alexi.
Oh, did I? Let me double check because I also added it up. Let's
So we've got
make
5
sure that's
for
right.
So conviction is 5, plus scholarship is 4, so 9. Then 9 more for the 3 at good, so that's 18. 24 for 6 more from fair, so we're at 24, which means that you should have 6 left. Okay, I just can't add. You're right. That's perfect.
Okay. I mean, hey, I'll take an extra skill if you want me to.
Nope. Math is hard. It's cool, guys. Math's hard. All right, I like this. So, Alexi's got a superb conviction, which makes perfect sense for a paladin. She's got great scholarship, also makes good sense, and it's as a lawyer to have a great scholarship. A good presence, resources, and contacts all follow again both paladin and lawyer very well. So you're fairly well off. You know a lot of people, and you have a charisma to match. That is very good. Makes sense. Fair at athletics, lore, and investigation. Okay, so maybe you like run every morning or something for your athletics.
Yeah, realistically, aside from the supernatural aspects of her and her involvement in the supernatural, she's kind of a basic bitch. I absolutely imagine her going to the gym, 5 days a week, or running every morning, and what have you.
I love it. Some basic fists skill, stealth, empathy. Empathy is pretty important in your line of work. So having at least average is pretty good. Might, endurance, and driving. Okay, sweet. That's good times.
Oh, you're taking driving also? Maybe I shouldn't.
She's taking
Yeah,
an
I've only got an
average.
average.
That's just +1.
Yeah.
I already went over everything Kelly's got. He does not have anything at Superb, but he's got Stealth, Impersonator. So, Impersonator is not a skill. Mike,
Yes.
you've listed Impersonator under one of your skills as a great skill. That's not a skill.
It should be impersonation. Sorry.
Impersonation's also not a skill.
I thought it was. Hold on.
It's
Hold on.
it's under something else. It's a it's a trapping, I think.
Okay.
Let me look it up.
Yeah,
I'd imagine impersonation is under deceit.
probably.
I feel like it has to be. Okay.
Well, now I need to find it. Ugh. Deceit. Disguise. No, hold on. Let me look it up in the back.
I'm not seeing it in the back either.
I know I saw it, so.
Oh, I believe that. I definitely believe that.
Let's see. I got athletics. Discipline. Driving, empathy. No.
Yeah, I feel like it would be under a deceit and disguise.
Yeah, you. Presence, maybe? No.
Unless it's a stunt.
I mean, it's pretty, like, disguise would work just as well, honestly. Yeah. Yeah, let's go with disguise then.
Okay. So that's under deceit, which you already have at fair. So that gives you another one at fair.
Yeah. So,
Because you had
I think I'll put falsehood and deception, like, as a specialty, I guess.
so you
But-
don't need to take like the specialty. Basically, all of those trappings that are under each skill
Yeah. Okay.
are like they're just like special cases.
Yeah.
So it's not like a separate skill. So you take
Okay.
you take the skill and you get the trappings automatically.
Okay. I actually swapped out resources for investigation, so I'll throw investigation in back in,
Okay.
and that'll work.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Okay. So stealth, disguise, and athletics at great, lore, survival, and weapons at good, resources, investigation, and burglary at fair, and then fists, discipline, and rapport as average. That's good.
Yeah.
Okay. How about Jane? How are we doing?
At least skills over there.
I think I got it. I think I did my math right.
Okay, let me go through it real quick. So, alertness for 5, deceit and burglary for 4 apiece, so that is going to be 13. 6 more for investigation and stealth brings us to 19. 6 more for rapport, athletics, and might is going to be I lost count. 20? Yeah, there we go. And then, no, sorry, 25. Because 19 plus 6, 25. And then 5 for average, driving, weapons, performance, survival, and fists. Okay. Cool. Perfect. Beautiful. And let's see. Conviction, discipline, endurance, and presence. No, okay, none of those. Good. And Rook. Oh, you are superb at driving.
Yes.
Nice.
You
And
said tank,
guns.
like, I gotta work a tank into this.
Mhm.
I hope that's my goal for this game. I'm gonna work a tank into this.
Fantastic. I love it. I love it.
I suddenly like think of this Bones character and be like, damn it, I'm a driver, not a nurse.
I want you to know
Like
every
Jake.
action I take in this campaign is going towards getting a tank somewhere in Seattle.
Find a tank in Seattle. Okay. First, you gotta
We can
get
make
5
that
stars.
Naval bases.
And then it shows up, and then you can steal it because we're going Grand Theft Auto. No, we're not. Don't do that. Let's see.
Leave that to me.
Alertness
tell
and
me
resources are both great. Presence and survival at good. Stealth and athletics at fair. And rapport and discipline at average. Fantastic. Okay. So with your presence at good, you should get some extra boxes for your stress track. So you should have 4 boxes for your mental stress. Oh, nope, social stress. Presence.
Did you guys hear about the ghost tank that's over at the wharf?
Oh,
You
yeah,
should invest
it
in
was
that
very definitely
immediately.
there now. And then you've got your discipline. Okay. Let's see. Okay. Cool. So yeah. Everyone double check, see if you have endurance, conviction, or presence. Make sure that you're giving yourself the extra stress boxes based on that. I just did that for you, Seth, on Rook, because you have a good presence. You got 2 extra boxes of your social stress.
I don't know. Wait,
I think
these
you already
are-
did yours correctly.
me?
I think so.
I didn't do anything.
Somebody
I
did.
have performance average, so like, does that give me
Yeah,
another?
no, you
That's
don't
fine.
have anything, so you already did it.
Okay.
So you don't need performance, you need presence. So you do
Oh.
not have endurance,
Sorry. No, I don't have anything.
you do
I'm
not
useless.
have conviction, and you do not have presence. So you just have 2 boxes and everything. So if you get hit, it's gonna hurt. And that's not just physically. It's
Right.
mentally
I
and
may
socially as well.
swap out something here.
Whereas Alexi has a huge conviction, a good present, a superb conviction, a good presence, and also a decent endurance at average. So I think
I swapped out driving for endurance since, we have a driver.
Yeah, that's fair. If I
yeah
did
okay.
it right, I should have 2 extra boxes in social and mental and 1 extra box in physical.
So okay, so
If I was reading that correctly.
let me check. Your endurance is average, which gives you 1 extra box. Okay, so what you also get as superb, with superb as your conviction, is you get an extra consequence, which, let's see. Oh no, it's plus for each 2 levels above good. So yeah, 1 at superb.
I'm gonna swap out survival for endurance too, I think. So I'll have good endurance.
Okay.
Yep, I'm changing things.
Cool. So I
If
just
it were-
added your extra mild mental consequence. So the ones that
Okay.
you start with normally can be used for anything. Whereas the one that you just got for having a superb conviction can only be used for mental consequences. So only when you're taking
Okay.
mental damage can you use this consequence. But that
Okay.
means that if you are taking mental damage and you have to take a consequence, use this one first. Because then if you need to
Right.
take a consequence later, you don't want to be forced to take a more severe consequence
Right.
if you didn't have to. So, cool.
And
Awesome.
I swapped out driving and weapons for presence and endurance, so hopefully I'm not such a wet piece of paper.
Well, I mean, still 2's not terrible, but this means that you're definitely not a fighter. Well, you've got an average fists, but you have no weapons, no gunplay. So if you're fighting, it's going to be hand to hand, and not that great.
No. She's still pretty young.
Pretty fantastic. Okay. Sweet. So yeah, we've got MindPal, we're doing the final preparation of our pre-game, finishing up character creation and city building. I just got back from TwitchCon, so I wasn't able to start at a normal time because I was on a bus. Turns out that that's a thing that happens sometimes.
Yeah, I was wondering if you're going to be okay to do it right after a con.
Got to
Yeah,
see Dead
no.
Mouse though. Worth
If
it.
oh my god, it was so amazing. I'm not even gonna lie. It was really amazing.
Yeah,
Come
they
on.
had footage at one of the after parties, like on CNN, and everyone was like, "What the hell is TwitchCon?" So I had to explain it to everyone. It was great.
Nice.
Like, let me explain what Twitch is.
Wow.
Okay.
Yeah. I only found out what Twitch was last year at PAX. I have no idea what this is.
I mean, it's still
they got-
fairly new, but it's still surprising to me how many people like don't know what Twitch is. And
They're not
it's-
really, they're not waist deep in this world.
Definitely. All right, cool. So now characters are actually officially done because we have. Well,
going to do stunts.
Yes. If you haven't already picked your stunts, then you probably need those.
Oh wait, what?
And say I already figured mine out last night when I had that panic attack that I was supposed to already finish my character.
Yes.
So I'm good.
Okay.
But I want to make sure everyone else does it.
I can be good, guys.
Let's see here.
Ooh.
So yeah, as with your template, Alexi had to have bless this house and guide my hand, and you also took righteousness.
Yeah.
And you put the notes in here. That's fantastic. A potent
It seemed
prayer
handy.
that you can smart guide your actions righteously. Very nice. And you can only make a prayer once per scene. A scene is like, usually you can think about it like a TV show or so forth, where you're in a location, and then an amount of time passes and you're in a different location. It's a new scene. It could just be, if it's like we ran around the corner, that might still be the same scene. If it's
Right.
2 days later, it's definitely a different scene. If it's we got in the car and we drove for 20 minutes, then
Maybe.
it's probably a new scene, unless there is a compelling reason for it not to be. If it's like those 20 minutes was a car chase, okay, that's the same
Right.
scene. We're just going straight through there. But that's pretty much what it's about.
Well,
Now-
that's the once per scene is for the desperate hour prayer,
Right,
which is different from the potent prayer. Yeah.
right. Sorry, I was skimming. So
No, that's okay. And I hadn't actually broken it up appropriately to make it easy to see that those were two different things.
you guys should be chest deep. So you would have an adjusted refresh rate of 4.
Oh,
'Cause-
that's way better.
yeah, it is way better.
Just so my edification here, were we going to start the actual campaign today, or is the end of the session going to be completing characters?
The end of the session's going to be completing characters, because we've got
Okay,
about a little over 15 or 45 minutes left. And then we're going to
So I actually kind of need to get out of here a little bit earlier because I didn't realize until late last night that we were starting late.
Yeah,
And I
I'm
had people
sorry
coming
about
over. So, no, like I said last night, so it says noon on the event, which
Yeah,
our normal start time is noon my time.
right.
And so I just said, noon, normal
Oh,
time.
normal
Not
time,
thinking about
right,
the fact that
yeah.
Facebook doesn't necessarily know that I'm attending the event from the other side of the country.
Right. It had the correct time in Roll20, but that doesn't help you if you didn't look at it.
Yeah.
Because Roll20
Yeah.
does automatically adjust the stream or the time. So
Which makes sense because it understands people are calling in from different locations.
exactly. So yeah, I mean, we'll go over. You look like you're actually pretty much done. Was there any part of Seattle that you wanted to add, or any interesting characters you might like to see as a face of something?
I gotta be honest, I did the research I did before our last conversation 2 weeks ago and have not had to do more.
Oh, that's
And we
fine. You don't
really
have-
already incorporated a lot of my ideas, so
I mean, you don't
I'm
have
good.
to do anything. I'm adding one that I realized that we did not have that seems pretty important, at least for me, which is going to be the docks. So,
oh yeah.
so the shipyards in West Seattle. And they're kind of a theme. Why is this blank instead? Whatever. All sorts of things come in through the docks. Aspect is dank and dreary. It's not a pleasant place to be.
Mm.
Yeah, tank dealership. That sounds reasonable. Good job.
There it is.
It's right there. So
Folsom Lake Subaru and Abrams tanks.
If I trade in my Explorer, can I get a break on a tank? I'm curious.
yes,
There are
yes, you can get $2,000 off of your $500,000 tank.
Good, good. That's going to be the thing that makes the difference.
Yep, for sure.
Let's see.
All right, and I'm giving him the face of Albert Long, the night security guard at the docks. And he is I think he is just a normal human that does not know what's going on. Totally normal, average human.
We'll have a lot to talk about.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm?
Me and him will have a lot to talk about since neither
About
of
being
us.
an average human?
Yeah.
Yes. So, Rook, you have an 8 refresh, but you can still take stunts, like mundane stunts. There are a lot of ones that are listed under mundane
Yeah.
stunts.
I'm taking a look. So, how is it determined how many I get, or
So you have a refresh rate of 8. You can take as many stunts as you like, as each one tells you how much refresh they cost. And very rarely, and I think only supernatural stunts do this, you'll have one that gives you points back. For example, a superhuman supernatural power that gives you back points is like human form. If you're a shapeshifter, but if you haven't shapeshifted, you're just a normal human. Meaning, while you're human, maybe you don't have the supernatural speed and such that you might have.
oh, so it's like willingly taking a.
It's like taking a drawback. Or you can have a rare or involuntary change to get an additional bonus. Like, if you can only rarely take your form, or it's involuntary, like, I don't know, being a werewolf, that gives you points back towards your refresh rate. And it can't go above what it, you cannot have just take a bunch of drawbacks in order to put yourself above the base refresh level. So
Okay.
let's see.
Where's the section on mundane stunts?
Mundane's mortal
It should be right
stunts.
before the powers.
It is. 148. And so it has
Is this in volume
it
1?
lists a bunch of things that are ways to expand and give you extra trappings for certain types of skills. Basically, you can learn to be better at certain skills than normal. You could get better at guns and take fast reload, so that you don't have to worry about reloading. You can just always keep firing bullets.
Okay.
Or gun nut. Guns, man, you know everything about them. You've seen them all, even the ones that nobody knows about. So with rolling a gun's knowledge, you get a bonus.
And you say I can take as many of these as I want?
Well, no. They cost you.
Okay, there we go.
So, yeah, each mortal stunt costs 1 refresh. So you have a base refresh of 8.
I can have
So
a max
theoretically, you could have 7.
of 7.
Because you
Oh,
have to have at least 1 refresh left to still be considered human.
Okay.
So if you're not If you do not have at least a refresh of 1, that means that you are no longer in charge of your own destiny. And in most cases, it means that you've become a monster, but you can be fully human and still a monster. You know what I'm saying?
But I mean,
it means
this is
that there's something about yourself that you are a slave to, and you cannot help it anymore. And you become that. Now, the book, starting on page 149, gives you some examples of mortal stunts.
okay.
So, the things that you can do, you can basically build any mortal stunt you want, even if it doesn't fit under this. But like things that are extended trappings, you can give a +2 to a specific application of a non-attack trapping. For example, you could have a vampirologist, so you could have a bonus to a roll about vampires. Or give a +1 to an attack under specific circumstances. So, for example, you could have one of the ones they list is like target-rich environment, where if you are in a firefight and you're outnumbered, you get a +1 to your attack because you want to hit somebody, doesn't matter who, kind of thing.
Gotcha.
Give a +2 to an attack's result applied only if you are already successful and under specific circumstances. Like, when using your hands are lethal weapons, and when using fists to strike an unarmored target, you're considered to have a weapon 2 versus, or weapon 1 versus armor 1. Basically, it just gives you a bonus to inflicting damage.
In that case, I will probably have to finish these up on my own another time because I'll probably want to come up with my own, like driving the tank or whatever.
I think I don't know if I understand this. Like, I think I know what powers I fix, but like if it's variable, is it just like you pay for these each time you use them out of your refresh points?
So, if it's variable, it should tell you circumstances on how it varies. Like, what skill are you looking at specifically?
Mimic abilities and modular abilities.
Which page are we looking at?
Sorry, 178 and 179.
78, 79. Oh. Nope.
No, but wrong page.
It's
Oh,
177.
sorry, 176 and 177.
Yeah. Okay. So, mimic attribute, mimic abilities.
I wrote down like the ones I think would fit the character best.
Okay, hold on. So basically, you set aside a number of points. That is your mimic points. So however many you want to spend on your mimic abilities attribute, that's your mimic pool. And then when you touch someone and steal their powers, you would then use you can only steal powers up to the combination of whatever refresh rate you have as your mimic attribute. So, yeah. And the same thing is true of the modular abilities. Basically, what you do for modular abilities is you get a pool of, like, the best you could do would be a pool of 5, because it costs, for modular abilities, it costs 2 as a surcharge to have the power, and then you have 5 points, and you have no other power if you're doing it this way. Because you have 8 refresh to work with, which means 7 is the most you could do. 2 of those has to go to buying the power. The other 5 are your pool that you can pull from. And then you can change at will between forms. And you can reallocate some or all of your form points to purchase new abilities, focusing on like creature features or minor abilities. So this would be like if you're like a classic D&D druid, like your ability to shapeshift into a bear or an owl. If you shapeshift into a bear, you'd lose some of your normal you'd gain like extended toughness and a thick hide and stuff like that. Whereas if you change into a bird, you'd suddenly become smaller and then also gain flight.
Probably be easier to injure too because you've got hollow bones.
Yeah.
Well, that's the other thing is, do we have to worry about like taking or in the books, like proper, like if you morph into something smaller than what you are, your essence goes into the Never Never. But if you morph into something your size or bigger, your essence comes, or like you get essence from the Never Never that just shuts off after you're done.
Right.
But you don't know if you're bringing something back if you go smaller. So is that like also affected in gameplay?
Yes, that is also affected. But you would basically, it would be a way for you to be able to shift sizes and on the fly name something, and then make up stats for it. And you can have stuff that you would normally change into that you'd have the stats for, but you only have the best you could do would be 5 form points, which means that you could have up to 5 refresh worth of special abilities that you would get from changing into that shape. So on the one hand, you're very versatile in that you'd be able to change into a lot of different things, but on the other hand, each one of those forms would be less powerful than having a specific form that you would stick to. So if you want to be the kind of shapeshifter that touches someone and steals their powers, that's where mimic abilities is going to come in, and you have to say my mimic pool is however many points you want out of the 7 that you're allowed to spend.
Gotcha.
Of course, you can always take human form to give you 1 more point on that, and there are a number of other
Is that there's mimic form and human guise?
Yeah, those are
Human
slightly
form.
different. So human guise is basically, you're always a shapeshifter. Like, in your natural state, you don't look human. But it's so easy for you to pretend to be human that it's a non-issue for you to just be like, I look totally human. A lot of Fae have that power.
Yeah, and it's different from having a flesh mask like the Red
Right.
Court does.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Whereas a human form as a shapeshifter is, yes, I can turn into a bear or a mountain lion or a eagle, But while I'm human, I'm totally human and have exactly the same flaws as a normal human. I don't have supernatural speed. I don't even have regular cheetah speed. You know? So there's that.
Okay.
So yeah, so for example, what you would do is you specify which of your supernatural abilities, usually most or all of them, are unavailable to you while you're shapeshifted into your, while you're not shapeshifted into your powered form. As long as you specify at least 2 points worth of refresh, then you gain back 1 point of refresh for making this choice, even if you only have 1 point of supernatural powers affected by this. Yeah, if you only have 1 point of supernatural powers affected by this, human form is not worth any refresh. You have to have at least 2 that are turned off by being normally human.
So, like, for mimic, like, I mean, she have the mimic form, mimic abilities, and human form. Is that, like, does that work? I am so confused. So, like,
Hey,
would
guys.
yeah.
Sorry, I just need to bow out, and I wanted to say goodbye. I didn't want to just disconnect without saying goodbye. So I will see you all in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
2 weeks,
All
we're
right.
going to start at noon Eastern, which is 9 a.m. Pacific. We're actually going to
God,
start
it's
on
over.
time.
Guys,
Well, I don't promise, but I'm going to try really hard.
we're gonna try really hard.
We're going to try really hard.
Mhm.
I'll see y'all in 2 weeks.
Okay.
See ya.
I think that works.
Okay. So, yes. Cool. So yeah, you could have mimic form where you're able to mimic the form of something else and your modular abilities, and basically while you're human, you don't have any of your modular abilities. Like all of your modular whatevers are nothing. What other fun drawbacks are there?
The ones I was looking at so far are just mimic form and mimic abilities, since she mostly just goes around being other people.
Right, definitely. You can also have the catch, which is going to be some way in which your abilities are limited. Like, if there was some kind of magical trinket that touched you and suddenly you'd go back to being human, that could be worth points back. If you can't cross running water while you're transformed, it's going to be worth points back. If excuse me, that's also where you would pay for like fey trait vulnerabilities, like, you know, being allergic to cold iron and stuff like that.
Okay. The catch. So do I need human form or no?
No,
Okay.
you don't need it. Basically, taking human form means that while you are not like, from the way you're describing your character, it sounds to me like, I guess the thing is, if you want human form, that means that you would not be able to, as a normal looking human, just turn your fingernails into claws and then rip someone's face off. You would have to actually fully transform into a panther or something like that.
Okay.
Basically would be the effect of it, as far as how I would read that. Essentially, you would not be able to take your modular abilities or your mimic abilities if you're in your normal form. If you're in your normal form. Yeah. Mike, you've been a trooper sticking around with us since
Yeah,
you've
it's fine.
always been done.
Sorry, I was, anxious and did stuff ahead of time.
It's okay. We fixed most of it.
For now.
I need to read so much more than I have had the ability to.
Well, there's a lot of options, and I can look into this with you too. I've been fairly busy myself, so it can make it hard to help you out when I've been busy. So I apologize.
It's almost like we're fully functioning adults and have lives.
What?
What?
Crazy.
No.
Man,
Making words.
I
pretty
feel like
strange.
I'd be so much more fully functioned, but I had loin minions instead.
Mm-hmm.
It's a pretty good trade-off, I guess.
They're pretty adorable, though.
I kind of like them.
Well,
know.
good, because you're stuck with them.
There we go.
Yeah, I just stick with a cat. That's all I got.
Yeah.
Your cat is pretty adorable too, though.
Yeah, I guess she's okay. She's you can't hear her right now, but she's squeaking while she snores. So
That's pretty adorable.
I know, right?
Oh my gosh, cats are the best. I made Autumn take a selfie with me when I got back because I missed my cats.
Oh,
Eat her.
It's pretty terrible.
Valkyrie just recently heard that "Let Me Take a Selfie" song, and she's been going around singing it. It's been fun.
That's pretty funny. Okay, so yes. So what you probably want is true shapeshifting.
I just seem so expensive.
It's
it's heinously expensive.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's it was one of those things that I looked at and I went, well, that's about it. That's all I'm willing to take.
Yeah.
So if you don't, I mean, that's fine too.
Well, is it? I gotta go find it again. I mean, there's already that backstory piece where she met.
Yeah, where our
So-
characters met.
Yeah.
So
she was
you
very-
could have a beast change, because like what we've determined that you could do is turn into a wolf. That's the one thing, and also disguise yourself as another person. That would be mimic form. So having beast change and mimic form would make sense for your character. And maybe you can't steal people's powers, or have modular abilities. Maybe you
Seemed
can.
like just said modular abilities was
Well,
recommended.
Mm-hmm.
It was, but it was also pretty expensive if I remember right.
So modular abilities is recommended for true shapeshifting, but you need a lot of points for that.
Yeah.
That may be something that we work up to as the if we progress to a point where we get to move, where we actually get to level up your characters.
Yeah. I did not see how expensive that was before working that into my backstory.
Let's see.
So normally beast change is gonna give you one specific type of creature that you can turn into. So you could take it multiple times to have different ones. Or we could work on doing basically the modular abilities to give you those characteristics piecemeal.
Yeah,
So-
I mean, one way that I kind of got around it was I went with the demonic co-pilot, which fit into my backstory.
Mm-hmm.
Which gave you more power, right?
Well, sort of. It basically it gives you +1 on any skill roll that's in keeping with your shapeshifted form or demonic co-pilot's agenda. But the thing is because I've got like a Fomori Lord who's trying to get me to like basically be his sleeper agent. So so it's kind of up to Susan as to what my demonic co-pilot might be willing to help me out with.
Yeah. And so anything that would follow the Fomor's agenda, I give you +1 on it.
Yeah.
But
which again
then,
is kind of up to you because
but
they're
then
a mysterious group.
You have to roll a discipline as if you were defending against an attack, and failure means that you take mental stress from the psychological consequences of knowing that you're doing what your tormentor wants.
Yep.
So I will try to keep you appraised of what you know of their agenda. So when you do a thing, I will warn you before you roll. I will say, this is following with the Fomor's agenda. You'll get a bonus on this, but do you really want to help them? And then...
Yeah.
So then, yeah. And only very rarely would I surprise you with that and be like, oh, you think that you failed? Actually, you succeeded because you get +1.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, you just realized that you followed the, what's the Xanatos Gambit of the Fomor, and actually help them out when you thought you were hurting them.
Yep.
Xanatos Gambits are the best. You might see some of those in this game. Just saying. And if you're not familiar with what a Xanatos Gambit is, then TV Tropes is your friend, and also time travel back in time and watch the Gargoyles TV show.
Which, by the way, is fully available on DVD now, and it's awesome.
You have to time travel back in time and watch it when you're a kid.
Oh, whatever. Now you're just making shit up.
Working that Gargoyles plug, fat stacks of gargoyle money.
No, like seriously, they spent like multiple years where they only released 1.5 seasons, and then finally, like just a couple months ago, they released the last half season, and it's so good, so good.
Super duper good.
Oh man, seems like my Jane's father is definitely her Xanatos Gambit.
Yep.
He created her for a reason.
Yes.
Okay. So, I don't know. Man. Seems like I take mimic form and mimic abilities. It's just as expensive as true shapeshifting.
True. But if you have mimic form and mimic abilities, you have to have something of that person. To mimic their abilities, you have to be able to physically touch them. And to mimic their form, you have to be holding something that belongs to them. Whereas with true shapeshifting, you don't. But you're not as good as necessarily directly taking on the form of one specific other person. You're fine at taking the form of someone who is not you, but not necessarily the exact duplicate of a person.
Yeah, that's why I specialized in disguise, since my shape-shifting is more focused on infiltration than anything else.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I actually need to go myself. I'm sorry. There's some things I need to take care of before workshop. Sorry.
Yeah.
Okay, well, it's this pretty good time to wrap things up, and I can finish helping Jane on her last of her character creation. Did you pick some stunts, Seth?
I have a few stunts in mind.
Okay.
I'll probably speak with you privately about them, and then there's a couple that I'm interested in making up, but I have to read up more about it first.
Certainly. Okay.
I will definitely be good to go before the next session. And we can just
Fantastic.
dive right in.
I'm
Me
looking forward to
too.
that.
All
Awesome.
right.
Okay.
Okay, cool. Then
All right. So see you in 2 weeks.
Yeah,
see
2 weeks.
you guys in 2 weeks.
Cool.
I'm gonna go back
Thank
to
you.
my splash page.
All
Boom.
right.
All right, I'll mute you guys.
All right.
All right. Thank everyone who came out and joined us for our struggling to learn a system stream. We're doing pretty good. Characters are all set, and this was a short session, cut even shorter because I was at TwitchCon and I just got back, and so we're really looking forward to actually playing this, beginning our first adventure on 2 weeks from now, Sunday at 9 a.m. Pacific. And there will be 0 tank dealerships, at least in the first episode. We'll see where that goes. Tank museums, though, that could be a thing. Yeah, so looking forward to it. We've got a lot of really good ideas. I'm very excited to see these characters interact with each other on a more permanent basis. And that's pretty much it. Thank you all for coming out, and have a great day.